UFC 297 is the first pay-per-view fight card of 2024, and I'm here to help you break down every single fight on that card. So grab your pens, grab your notebooks, take a seat, and let's go ahead and take some notes on UFC 297. We're going to cover every fight in detail. But if this is your first time to the channel, you probably didn't see how we did at UFC Vegas 84. So I'm going to save you some time. You can look it up later, but it's 9-2 was the picks. We crushed it on the bets. We a little bit over 3 units up. We were conservative in our unit sizing. We played it a little safe and cast a wide net. We did a good job there. We hit most of the bets. Sure, we could have gone a little heavier. It was the first card of the year. We wanted to dip our toes in the water. But we did a fantastic time. We're doing UFC 297 here. So, like I said, don't forget to grab those notebooks and pens. Let's go ahead and start breaking this down, starting with our first fight. All right, guys, flyweights up next. And I want to tell you ahead of time, I think someone's getting got in this matchup. We've got Jimmy Flick taking on Malcolm Gordon. Gordon, 2-3 in his last 5, 3-2 for Flick. That is a bit misleading, though, because his wins are mostly before he left and retired and then came back. When he came back, hasn't looked like the same Jimmy Flick. Now, he still has the jiu-jitsu. He just isn't quite the same in everything, right? So let's start with this. So Gordon, like I said, 2-3, Flick 3-2. Both guys very similar records, 14-7 and 16-7. So these guys have very similar careers, similar records, and similar styles. For Flick, dude is a strong Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. He's got decent takedowns, right? But the submissions are what gets it done for him. He's got good transitions. He can get to whatever position he needs. But realistically, he's just got a massive toolbox that he can get submissions from any position. It doesn't matter which one. He's going to chain his submission attempts together. He's got options from everywhere, like I said. He's quick on those submissions, but the arm triangle is his specialty. His arm triangle is his best submission. He's got other good submissions, don't get me wrong, but that arm triangle is his best. In the striking department, he's decent. He's got good kicks at range. I'm going to give him that. He's got the good kicks at range, but he's not very durable. And realistically, he wants to use his jiu-jitsu. No matter what, that's what he wants to do. On the other side, Malcolm Gordon. He's a little more balanced in his approach, but still more in the jiu-jitsu department, right? He's got solid Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I would say just pure jiu-jitsu goes to Flick, but there's more to it. He's going to snatch up arms from everywhere, right? That's what he goes for. He goes for your arm. We got arm triangle over here for Flick. Over here we got Kimura and armbar. That's what Gordon's going for. He's got Kimuras and armbars. That's what he looks for. Looks to get a hold of the wrist. If he gets a hold of the wrist, it depends how does he shift his hips this way, take your arm? Does he go over the top of your arm and pull it back into Kimura? Whatever he wants to do, whatever he's got to do. He's a very good scrambler as well. In the grappling, there's going to be a fun matchup. On the feet, he's a little bit more polished, right? He's a little bit better, but still just decent in the striking. Forward pressure, plenty of power. He does keep a nice tight high guard, which I do like. That's for a guy like Gordon because his durability is not the greatest. And he'll throw wild punches from odd angles. You know, he'll bring one down and throw it kind of like in a weird shovel kind of uppercut or something like that. But I think on the feet, Malcolm Gordon's going to be better. And I think on in the grappling department, Flick's going to be a little bit better. But, you know, it's one of those things where it's like either guy could finish the other guy in the other spot just for the simple fact that both of them are lights out in their jiu-jitsu and neither guy's durable on the feet. So I don't think so. I think somebody gets finished is my prediction for this fight. I know I have to give a pick. That's what I do on this channel. I can't all of a sudden start pretending I can't do that. And I'm not going to do that and just leaving it out there. In close fights, when you are in a themed card, and that is what we are, we're in Canada where we're going to get a lot of Canadian fighters on the card. We're going with Malcolm Gordon for the simple fact that he's a hometown guy. That's it. It's a close fight. Somebody's getting finished. That's what I'm telling you guys. I'm telling you that. If you're not reading between the lines, I don't know what more I can give you. Malcolm Gordon's a pick. I'll see you guys in the next women's flyweights up next. We've got Jasudavicius. She takes on Priscilla Cachoeira. Both of these ladies are 3-2 in their last 5 fights. And this is an interesting matchup because on one hand, you have Jasudavicius, who is darn good in the grappling department, high-volume striker, versus the absolute just power-punching zombie of Cachoeira. Let's break down their skill sets a little bit. For Cachoeira, she's a good striker, right? She's very aggressive with her forward pressure. She's got a ton of power. That's pretty much what she is. A power puncher that's coming forward aggressively, almost just zombieing forward, eating one to give one, sometimes eating 2 or 3 to give one. She doesn't really mind because, you know what? Her striking defense may not be the best, but she's extremely durable. She can take a punch, and when she hits you, it's probably going to hurt more than when you hit her. That's her game plan. Now, if she gets taken down, not so good there because takedown defense isn't great. She struggles off of her back, but she's a dirty fighter, and that can be good or bad, right? She can get a point taken, something like that, but she'll also bite you or like put their thumb in your eye or whatever she's got to do to get out of something. And sometimes that just works for her. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. On the other side, we have Jasudavicius, who I've been very high on this channel. If you haven't noticed, I bet on her in pretty much every fight. So there's that. But Jasudavicius, she's, like I said, 3-2. So we've done well on her. She's most of the time an underdog. Not so much in this one. People are finally catching on. She's got good top pressure. She's got good takedown defense. Great sub defense. Good cage push, and she can control you there. On the feet, she's a decent striker. And it's not, she's showing more polish as she comes along. But she's just got a ton of forward pressure and a ton of volume, and she can eat a punch if she needs to. Can she win from Cachoeira? That we don't know because, you know, some people just hit really stinking hard, and that's her. But she's also got cardio to keep that pace up and do this over probably 5 rounds, let alone 3. So, for me, this fight is very cut and dry. Jasudavicius is the side. She's my most confident pick on the card. I don't feel bad about giving that away. I understand she's like -400 now, so rightfully so. She should be my most confident. But I think she's tough enough to take the shots. I think she's going to put more volume out, and I think she's just going to be able to push Cachoeira up against the cage and just out-volume her, out-dog her, take her to the ground, and when Cachoeira starts trying to cheat to get her way out of the fight, I just don't think it's going to be enough for her. So Jasudavicius is getting this one done. It is my most confident pick on the card, and like I said, I know it's -400, and yeah, whatever. If she loses this fight, feel free to come back to the comments and call me all sorts of names and tell me I'm stupid because I will feel that way, and you will probably be correct. Jasudavicius gets it done. Let me know where you're at on this one, and I will see you next one. Tough one to call here. Sam Patterson moves up to welterweight to take on Lainesse. Patterson 4-1 in the last 5, coming off that big knockout loss. 3-2 for Lainesse in his last 5. Kind of a different style since he's been in the UFC than we've seen from him on the regionals, and including his Contender Series matchup. But in this one here, we got Patterson. He's a pretty good boxer. His defense is a bit suspect because he does that, like that tall guy just kind of lean back, and that's what got him caught in that last matchup. But he does have good combinations, and he puts a little bit of snap at the end of his punches. So when he throws with those long, lanky arms he has, at the end of those, there's a lot of that whip to the punch. Not like he's throwing it like a whip. That's to illustrate the whipping motion. He throws a good, clean punch, puts together good combinations. But he's got good boxing, essentially. But that defense, it can be a little bit, a little bit questionable. When it comes to his jiu-jitsu, he's very good there, especially with when he gets taken down, which his takedown defense isn't great. He's very good at wrapping up an opponent's limbs with his long limbs that he has, and he starts going for submissions. Now, if he doesn't get the submission, he's going to work right back to his feet or work for the sweep. He's not content just to lay there. And the good thing is he can do this throughout a fight, throughout a lengthy fight as well, because he's got pretty good cardio. On the other side, we've got a guy in Lainesse, very fast starter, but he burns hot and then he kind of fades because that's what happens when you start as fast as Lainesse, and especially as you're a bigger welterweight, which he is. So the guy for Lainesse, big, powerful striker, really awkward style. Like if you put the guy in a heavy bag and told him to hit the bag, you'd be like, man, this doesn't look that good. Like Patterson looks like the better striker. Just if they were lined up on a heavy bag, right? Lainesse hits really hard, and that awkward style kind of does well for him because it makes his punches come from weird angles. Throw a head kick out of nowhere or something like that. It is kind of just an awkward style, but he does get backed up, and it's kind of surprising because when you think of a guy that's a fast starter with powerful striking, you think of somebody that's going to come forward all the time. We've seen him get backed up a little bit, and I think that if he's backing up, Patterson's going to be able to land shots on him. If he's able to go forward at any point, though, that's when that tall man defense can be a problem for Patterson, because if Patterson's coming forward and he leans back like this and just keeps coming forward, that tall man defense doesn't really hurt him as much because for Lainesse, he's going to have to plant and then come back at this way to close that distance. When it comes to the grappling, Lainesse is great on top. On the bottom, it's not as good, but on the top, first off, he gets the fight to the mat with a very powerful style takedown and pick you up, drop you on your head if he has to. But when he gets you there, it's the ground and pound, right? Ground and pound is his best weapon on the mat. Hits very hard, just like he does on the feet. I struggle with this matchup. This is a tough one. It's one of the more... There are 3 fights on this card that I just wish I didn't have to make a pick. This one is the least troublesome of those 3. I'm going to take Lainesse because in these close matchups on the card, if it's so razor thin, you got to lean with the Canadian because here we are in Canada for this card. Hometown advantage. If it's a close fight, if it goes to decision and it's close, I'm not saying the judges are trying to rip somebody off here, but it's when you hear the crowd reacting, when you see, maybe you just lean. If it's razor thin, you lean to the hometown guy. All right, that's all I'm saying. I'll take Lainesse for that reason. I think it's a close fight. Could there be a finish? Absolutely. I kind of hope that there is, so that way there's no question in our mind who gets the win. But I'm taking Lainesse. Let me know who you have. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. And I'll see you in the women's strawweight division. We have Viana taking on Jillian Robertson. Both of these ladies are 3-2 in their last 5, and both of them are jiu-jitsu specialists in their core. At their heart, that's what they are, jiu-jitsu specialists. Let's break this down. For Viana, we know her for being the lady that beat up some dude in Brazil, right? I mean, that's what we got, right? Viana. She's got solid Brazilian jiu-jitsu. She's very active off her back, and she's very dangerous with her submission attempts. She throws up a lot of she attacks the arms, basically. That's what she's going for off the back. But she's content to stay there. But if she gets a hold of your arm, you're kind of in trouble. Will that be an issue for Jillian Robertson? We'll find out here in a minute. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I do think that Viana off of her back is more dangerous than Robertson off of her back. But in the reverse, where on top, I think Robertson is probably more dangerous than Viana. And we're going to get more into that in a minute. So both of them, albeit very good jiu-jitsu players, they both have different styles in their jiu-jitsu, and they have different ways to go about it. So hopefully that makes some sense. Either way, in the striking, I would say the better striker, though, is Viana. She's decent. I mean, I would almost say she's good, but not quite there. We're getting there. She's got decent power, and she's very aggressive, and I think that makes up for anything that she lacks in her striking. But all in all, she wants to use her jiu-jitsu. That's what she is best at. And I will say, she messed up that dude pretty good with that one combination that she put on him and busted his face up bad. So I don't know. Maybe her striking is better than I'm giving her credit for. For Robertson, like I said, she's also got solid Brazilian jiu-jitsu. She's got okay takedowns, I guess. I guess of the two, I'd say hers are probably just a little better, and I hate saying that, but I think she gets them more at 115 than she does at 125 because she's been kind of going between the two. She does always look for the submission, and she's going to attack things like the armbar and the rear naked choke. She keeps it simple, right? She goes for rear naked chokes and armbars, some of your most basic submissions. When you start a jiu-jitsu class, 2 of the earliest submissions that you get into to add into your toolbox is a rear naked choke and an armbar. And if those didn't come early, I don't know what class you were in. It's very strange. They should be 2 of the earliest ones. I guess we all kind of just by default know a guillotine, and that's why it's also the least successful. So rear naked chokes, arm bars, she keeps it simple, and she does them very, very well. So that's a good thing. Good transitions as well. But the thing I like about Robertson is her style is more about being on top. Because when she's on top, she's got heavy ground and pound, and what she's using a lot of elbows as well. So on top, her jiu-jitsu is very dangerous. Now off her back, she's not as good. So if she ends up on the bottom, her throwing up submissions off her back, yeah, she can do it. The arm bars maybe from there, but she's going to more get those from top position as well. But either way, better on top, better on bottom, right? When comparing the two, I'm not saying that Viana prefers to be on the bottom. I do think she would take the top position over the bottom. You get what I'm saying. Anyway, in the striking, I try to be nice here. Jillian Robertson, she seems to be improving in her striking. In moments, she looks good, and then she loses it. But she's very durable, and that helps with the striking because it lets her weather some shots to throw something back of her own or get a hold of her opponent. And I do think she's going to have the better cardio here, and I think that's why I've got to take her because in the early part of this fight, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be wild. I got to say Jillian Robertson because she's more likely to be the one on top when it's on the ground, and I think her elbows are going to be landing some serious damage on that face of Viana, and I think she's going to be able to either do enough damage to get the win in a decision and be able to do it for longer in the fight, or somebody's getting finished. So when either girl could get finished, but one has more upside in a decision, in my opinion, I've got to lean them. Plus, she's the hometown girl, or the home country girl, I guess. We're going Jillian Robertson. Might be hometown. I don't know. Either way, she's my pick. Let me know who you have. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Find ourselves at bantamweight, where Sidey takes on Taveras. Now, if you remember, we broke this fight down in depth on Dana White's Contender Series. We picked Sidey. He got the win. We didn't think it was going to go that way. Nobody did. That was a odd finish. But either way, we broke this one down in depth. Now, I'm going to simplify things here because we did get into detail there. That was a full-length video on this fight. I will make that at the end screen of this video, assuming I remember to do so. If I haven't, leave it in the comments and tell me to do so, or you can go back at the channel and find it yourselves. Either way, I'm going to put that video there for anybody who wants a little bit more of a deep dive into this fight and what I saw leading into this fight originally. Not much has changed, very little. So either way, we're going to break it down. Sidey, 5-0 in the last 5, 4-1 for Taveras. For Taveras, he is a very, very good boxer, right? Solid boxing. That's what he's got. He's got very fast hands. He's got a laser cross from the southpaw stance, and he uses it to counter leg kicks. Can use it to counter body kicks, but typically leg kicks. So opponent throws a leg kick, boom, hits that cross, and he's not going to just follow a guy to the ground. It's my favorite thing about him. He's not just going to follow the guy to the ground after he drops him. He's going to make him get back up. If they're still awake, that is. He uses that cross as obviously his counter. So when he throws it, boom, hits him. And then a lot of guys, they hit that cross and they just, oh, I got to go down there and get this guy, right? Got to go with the ground and pound. Nah, he's going to stand back up. He's going to say, all right, get back up. I'm going to use this boxing because that's what he's best at. He can counter-strike while moving forward, and that's impressive because most people have to counter-strike when they're moving backwards. Not Taveras. Guy's moving backwards, still hitting those counters, slipping out of the way, doing what he's got to do. And once the opponent is thinking boxing, he's going to start slamming body kicks. He'll get you your hands up top because you're, defending against, the punching combinations and things like that. A lot of them to the head. Then he's going to slam that body kick and, eating a wide open body kick because a lot of the times he's fighting guys who are standing in the orthodox stance. Dude stands southpaw. That body kick's wide open. So he does that a lot. He's got a quick guillotine from what we've seen, but that's about it as far as the grappling. There's just not a lot to go on. That's what I've got for his grappling. It's really limited, but that's what we've seen. Okay, either way, guillotines aren't that good, so don't take a lot into that. Sidey, good striker as well. Obviously, he's got clean straights. We saw that in the last matchup where he dropped Taveras, put him on his butt. No, he was not knocked out, but he put him on his butt with that clean straight. He'll throw him to the body or to the head, mixing up the levels, whether it be the jab or his cross. He's landing those shots clean to either level. He's got good forward pressure while he's doing it. He can mix in some other stuff, don't get me wrong, but that's the bread and butter is those straight shots and then getting into the pocket and striking from there, working into the grappling. He's got a good body lock takedown. He's also good at catching kicks. Now, it's a lot of times leg kicks, and it leads to him eating a lot of leg kicks if he's trying to catch those kicks, right? So that can be a problem, but it's also a good thing if he gets the fight to the mat because I do think in this matchup he's the far better grappler. I think he's going to have control once he gets there. He's going to have very effective ground and pound. I'm going to take Sidey. And it's not because he knocked out Taveras in the first matchup. It's because I think Sidey's the better grappler, and I think he's going to get this fight to the mat at some point in this one. So I'm taking Sidey, but let me know who you have. Go back and watch that other video. I definitely think it's worth your time. I'll have it at the end. Don't do it now, at the end of this video. But thank you guys. I'll see you guys in the next. We have what I find to be the toughest matchup on the entire card to break down and toughest one to make a pick on. We have Woodson. He is 3-1-1 in his last 5 fights. He's taking on Jourdain, who is 3-2 in his last 5. This is in the featherweight division. And yes, I said featherweight division, and we've got a man that's 6'2" with a 78-inch reach, and that is absurd. But he is. He's 6'2" with a 78-inch reach at the featherweight division. On the other side, we got Jourdain at 5'9" with a 69-inch reach. So huge, huge height and reach advantage for Woodson, and that is going to play a factor in this matchup. On the other side, Jourdain, he's not small for a featherweight. It's pretty normal-sized featherweight. It's just Woodson is a gigantic tower of a human being. Anyway, let's start with the Woodson side. He's a very solid boxer. That is his best weapon, is his boxing. He uses his range very well. He puts together good combinations. He's got a very quick jab. This right here is boxing bread and butter right there. That's what it is. But he's got surprisingly good kicks for a boxer. His legs look like toothpicks, but for some reason he's got pretty decent kicks, okay? When he gets an opponent up against the cage, he's going to corner him. He's just going to start unloading with volume, and that's when he's going to put together most of his combinations, and he's just going to start really ripping those shots to different spots on the body, and that's his best bet in most fights, backing guys up, landing those combinations, get him up against the cage, and then that's it. He does have decent grappling, and we saw takedowns out of him in his last fight, and I was surprised because he wasn't a wrestler before. He was a boxer, right? But he started showing takedowns, so I put a little question mark right there because I'm not sure if that was a one-time thing or what. But he does have good takedown defense, and he's got them choking arms because you can't be this long and tall and not have choking arms when you weigh 145 pounds at fight day. So that's what he's got. If you put your head down there, those arms are thin. They slip under your chin. It's just what happens. On the other side, Jourdain, he's also got good choking arms. This guy's a good grappler. He's got a good front choke series. He can get a hold of that neck and put you out just like that. He's very active off his back, but his takedown defense is not the best. He showed better takedown defense against Kron Gracie, but I think that was more just because Kron Gracie didn't have any takedowns. So for the takedown defense, I think it still is suspect, and I'm not going to be fully on board with the Jourdain takedown defense. In striking, good striker as well. He's got good volume. He's got very good movement. And he puts together combinations. He's a very exciting fighter with kicks to all levels. The front kick in particular is one of my favorite moves that he uses. And in this matchup, I do think it's going to be one of his most important moves because he's going against the tall, rangy guy. That front kick, though, is one of your best weapons. I don't think you can see that. I don't know if I can kick high enough for that. Or, well, you know, at least not while I'm wearing my slippers. I'm wearing my slippers, guys. He throws his front kick. When he throws that straight out, right, that's coming from the leg, his front kick is going to be longer than the arms. Believe it or not, I think it will. I think it'll reach at least at the same time as the jab of Woodson, and the front kick's going to land harder. So I think if he can use the front kick, I think it's going to be better than the roundhouse kick for that particular purpose. Because the roundhouse kick, well, what is that? Well, it's an around. You're checking the width of the opponent right there, right? And that's going to have to come this way. And as the crow flies, that jab's coming down the middle, and that's what Woodson's going to be landing. So it's important for Jourdain to hit those front kicks. It's important for him to use that and then come in and use his combinations in tight for him to get the win there. Now, for Woodson, his best thing he needs to do here is keep this fight at range and start working the jab. Mix in a takedown maybe at the end of the round or something because he knows he can get one and steal those close rounds from that. I've gone back and forth on this one dozens of times. And it's the same thing with others on this card. When it's this gosh darn close, you got to go with the Canadian when we're in Canada. So we're taking Charles Jourdain to get the win. I think we're getting a decision, but I'm not confident in that either. I'm not confident in this fight at all. For just, if you take one thing from me on this video, pass on this one. Pass on this fight. It ain't worth it. But let me know what you guys think. Do you have a strong lean either way? If so, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next fight. At bantamweight, we have Brad Katona taking on Garrett Armfield. Brad Katona, you remember him. He just won the Ultimate Fighter. Garrett Armfield stepped in on short notice to get his shot in the UFC. Didn't do so well there, but he's done well ever since. Now, in this one here, obviously, Armfield's back at his normal weight class at 135 pounds. He was in his last one as well. Katona, 5-0 in the last 5, 4-1 for Armfield, as I mentioned. They are the same height. But there is a just gigantic reach advantage for Garrett Armfield. He has a 70-inch reach at 5'6". This dude's got some long arms. For Brad Katona, 64.5-inch reach. This dude's got some short arms. So we have a pretty big difference here. Now that's gonna change things a bit in this matchup for both guys. And for Armfield, it's gonna help him a lot in the striking because he is a good striker, predominantly a boxer with leg kicks. You see a lot of guys like that in the UFC. They have predominantly boxing-oriented styles, but they throw in the leg kicks as well because you can't just be a boxer. It's really tough to do that without using any sort of kicks. But you see a lot of boxers with leg kicks, and that's what you get in Garrett Armfield. Typically a boxer, typically using the leg kick as well. Dude's got a nice jab. That range helps him land that jab at a high clip, so that jab is going to be something that he should be able to use in this matchup against Katona. He does work the body well. He puts together combinations, and like I said, throws the leg kick. So in the striking department, I think Armfield's going to have the advantage at range, obviously, because he's going to be so much longer. And if he keeps pumping that jab out there, Katona's going to have to find a way to get past that in order to do well there. Now, in the wrestling, he's a good wrestler. He's got good takedowns, good scrambling ability, but that seems to tire him out because we've seen him gas out in the past. His cardio it's not bad per se, but it's not good either from what we've seen. On the Katona side, like I said, he's got those shorter arms, so it does make it harder for him to be a good striker. But he does put together good combinations. A lot of times they end in kicks. He uses those kicks to kind of, well, they'll either start or end in kicks, sometimes both. And he uses those kicks to kind of bridge the gap in the striking to make it so when he can't reach you with his arms, or as you're backing away, he can throw the kick and reach you on your way out. He does close the distance sometimes with these just big, wild power shots. And again, I think it's because of the poor reach here. So sometimes he'll come in and just duck his chin and start swinging these big shots to get to the hips of his opponent. And it works for him because he's a solid wrestler with a ton of pressure that he puts on guys, whether that be when they're on the feet still and he's trying to pressure the takedown or when he gets it to the mat. He'll get to a double leg and just stay on it. Even if he just backs you up to get the cage, just keeps trying for that double leg until he gets it. And once he gets it, he's got good top control. The dude can do this over 3 rounds. He can do it over 5 rounds. He's got tons of cardio. I think this is a good fight and a fun fight, but I think Brad Katona takes it. And if you guys know, if you've watched the channel, if you watched my breakdowns of the Ultimate Fighter and stuff like that, Brad Katona annoys the absolute heck out of me. And if I'm picking him to win, it's because I actually think he's going to win, and I'm not just playing favorites here. So I'm picking Brad Katona because I think he's going to be able to put on a pace. I think his cardio is going to be better. I think he's going to be able to keep the wrestling pressure going, and I think he's going to be able to outwork Garrett Armfield. And in the striking, although I understand that jab is going to be landing for Armfield, I think Katona can do enough to win the minutes, to get the fight to the mat when he needs it. And I think he's going to be able to, I think he's going to be the fresher fighter in the 3rd round. Give me Brad Katona to get this one done, probably a decision, but let me know what you think. I love hearing from you guys. And featherweights next. Arnold Allen takes on Evloev, and this is a great fight that I wish was 5 rounds, because you got to assume that this is something of a title eliminator. So I do wish it was 5 rounds, so we got that out of it. But either way, Evloev, obviously he's undefeated at 17-0, 5-0 in the last 5. Arnold Allen, he's 4-1 in the last 5 with a 19-2 record. Still very impressive. That one loss is Max Holloway. You can't really fault the guy for that, because who doesn't lose to Max Holloway? Well, that's Alex Volkanovski. But other than that, everybody loses to Max Holloway at this point in his career, and that's just the way that it is. And that was a gosh darn good fight, and Arnold Allen made a very good account for himself. So we're not going to hold it against him. Evloev would also lose to Max Holloway. I'm not being silly with that one. That's just a fact, okay? So anyway, Evloev, dude is an excellent wrestler. That is exactly what he does. I'm going to cover his striking really fast, and we're going to go back up there. He's got decent striking. It's mostly because he's pretty accurate when he throws, and I think that's mostly set up by the wrestling threat. He's going to be far worse in the striking in this matchup than Arnold Allen. But the wrestling, dude's a fantastic wrestler. He's got very good chain wrestling. He's relentless on it because he knows he needs to get the fight to the mat. He's got good top pressure, but his control isn't there. And what do I mean by that? I mean, when he gets you down, he puts a lot of pressure on you, and he uses it to work his way to the next position, advancing, reverse his position if he ends up in a bad spot. He's done that a few times. Did that against Diego Lopez, which we saw a couple of times, where he used the he found himself in a bad way, and he was able to reverse position, get back on top, and do what he has to do. So his pressure is good, but his control isn't the best because he lets guys get back up. He is accurate in the ground and pound, and he does a good job with it. But he's just putting these takedowns just in enough volume that even when they do get back up, he's taking guys down and controlling them. Arnold Allen is a different kind of animal, though. He is a solid grappler as well, and he does have good top control because he's very position over submission oriented. Now, he gets his takedowns up against the cage, and I wouldn't be surprised if he can back up Evloev here and take him down up against the cage, or if Evloev's got Arnold Allen against the cage, dude reverses it, pushes him up against the cage, and gets a takedown of his own. Because I do think that Arnold Allen knows that Evloev is going to be better on top than he is on bottom, and I think that that's something that Allen might be able to exploit. I do think he wants to keep it in the striking, but if we end up against the cage, I could see Allen going for something like that. Dude's got solid takedown defense, and if he does get taken down, he works back to his feet. He stays very safe as well with very good submission defense. Now, I've simplified my Arnold Allen breakdown here because I had a ton of notes on this guy, because in a 19-2 career where the guy's done pretty much, he's fought in every single facet of MMA. Like, he's fought in that area extensively. Unlike Evloev, who, this is what he's doing. He's doing his wrestling, and he does it very, very well. Arnold Allen's super well-rounded. When it comes to his striking, he's probably better. He's much better in the striking than he is in the grappling. I'm going to be honest with you. Dude's got excellent counter strikes. Dude's got a ton of power. He's got a great jab, and he sets guys up to be countered with that jab. He'll throw something kind of out there to get you to come in and then land a heavy shot. One of my favorite things that he does is his face frame to power shot, where he just kind of frames the face and then just boom, lands a heavy one. He'll do that whether it's both hands framing the face, one hand framing off the face, and then just follows up with a big heavy shot. I hope I didn't get off camera when I did that. Either way, he works the body very well. He's got good lateral movement. This guy does a ton of stuff right. I had a list that was way too long here, and I didn't want it to look like I was just only talking about Arnold Allen. I think Arnold Allen's going to win this fight, and I think Arnold Allen's going to put some hurting on Evloev. I think he gets it done. I really do. Evloev's probably going to get a takedown or two here and there, but I think Allen's going to get back up. I think he's going to make those takedowns really, really tough for Evloev, and I think he's going to hurt him on the feet every time he does. So every time Evloev gets the takedown and lets Allen back up, Allen's going to get stronger as the fight goes on, and I don't think Evloev is. So I'm taking Arnold Allen. Let me know who you have. I know a lot of people are on Evloev, and I understand why that wrestling is great, but I got to go with Allen here. Let me know, like I said, and I'll see you guys in the next middleweight here, folks. And real quick, if you haven't picked up a shirt yet, you can do it at the link in the description of this video. Someone like Kiwi Brew, a fan of the channel, has purchased their shirt clear down in Australia. That shirt got there in less than a week. So if you happen to be in that side of the world, apparently you get the shirt very fast. But either way, everybody that's purchased a shirt, I appreciate the heck out of you. I'm just highlighting him this one because, well, it was recent and that was very nice of him. So there are 2 spots left to get in the World of Mixed Martial Arts 5 tournament when you purchase a shirt or anything from the website, shirts, hoodies, whatever. If you purchase something from the website, you get entered in the lightweight tournament. You get to select a fighter that in World of Mixed Martial Arts 5, I'm going to do an 8-person tournament. We're gonna match them up. if your fighter hasn't been selected already. There's some that have already been selected, obviously 6 of them. And you're going to see how it plays out. And the winner, whatever fighter wins that is representing you, whoever wins that tournament gets a free copy of World of Mixed Martial Arts 5, which many of you have seen me play on the channel. If you have not seen me play that on the channel, guess what? You can go look at those live streams. I do them live every time. And you can go back, look at those, and see if you want to get a copy of that. And if you do, get yourself a shirt, pick a lightweight fighter, and we'll throw them in there and see how it goes. So purchase a shirt, link in the description. Thanks for listening to me talk. Let's go ahead and break down this fight. Chris Curtis, Marc-Andre Barriault. 3-2 for Barriault, 2-2 in a no contest for Chris Curtis. Headbutts have been an issue for Curtis. People have been headbutting the guy, so that's kind of where that comes from. The no contest, rightfully so, should have been a no contest. The other one where the headbutt caused him a loss, probably should have, maybe not even been a no contest. Just give the guy a chance to recover. But either way, it is what it is. Can't change it now. Let's break down the fight. Marc-Andre Barriault, the dude, they call him power bar for a reason. It's the high motor. That is what comes to mind when I think of Barriault. Anybody he can just put a pace on and just out-volume them, outwork them, he's going to probably win on the scorecards against them. He has decent striking. It's not the most polished, but he does throw combinations, and he's going to be coming forward. He's got a ton of volume. That pressure's there, but his defense isn't really the best, but I think it's pretty much because he's always on offense. So, I mean, my coach used to always tell me the best defense is really good offense, so I don't mind it. But he can get hit if he's just coming forward and launching shots. It happens. Wrestling, pretty decent there as well. He's a well-rounded kind of guy. He does a good job pushing guys up against the cage. Now, he can get the takedowns, but a lot of times he's looking to get you up against the cage and just strike from the cage push. He does a really good job of getting you there, landing shots inside, and then coming back out and landing shots, and then coming back in. He does a very good job with that. So I do like Barriault's output. I like the way that he fights. It's fun. It's an exciting style. Typically, it ends up being a good fight, even when you see the cage push, which a lot of times makes for a boring fight, not when Barriault's doing it. Chris Curtis. Now, this guy, here's the deal. He has excellent boxing, and he has a very solid defensive shell that people can't really crack. But here's the thing. UFC stats, not the website, but like the strike numbers, people that are making the striking numbers for the UFC, they don't know what they're looking at. Chris Curtis gets hit way less than those numbers suggest. Because when he's blocking these shots and they're hitting the arms, a lot of times those are getting counted as significant strikes, and it makes no sense to me. Like, yeah, I guess it hurts to get punched in the arm. But like, you're blocking the shot. Like that's what you're doing. That's the design purpose of having the shell. So for Chris Curtis, I think he needs a knockout to win this fight. Now, can he get that? We'll find out here in a moment. Let's break it down. But the defensive shell that he has, it does a good job of protecting Chris Curtis, but the numbers, somehow it ends up racking up for the other guy. And with the volume that Barriault is going to be putting out, it's going to look like Curtis got hit like 400 times probably. Not that, that's an exaggeration, but you know what I mean. Either way, Curtis, he's got a ton of power. He's got very tight combinations. He comes from in here and just hits those tight shots. Does a good job mixing it up. That was kind of weird, but whatever. You got you got what I was getting at. He counter strikes very well, and I think that's good against somebody that's going to put out a lot of volume, because a lot of times with Curtis, if his opponent is sitting back looking to counter strike or is kind of a slow starter, it can be hard for Chris Curtis to also get going, because he's going to sit there and like, well, I'm trying to counter strike this guy. How can I counter strike them if they're also trying to counter strike me? So that helps. This makes for a good fight because of the styles that you have here. He does work the body well. He's a durable guy. A lot of it's because he's blocking most of these shots, but whatever. And he has excellent takedown defense. This dude is really hard to take down. Many have tried. Very few have succeeded. Interesting fight. Like I said, if it goes to decision, Barriault's probably going to win, because he's going to have a ton of volume, and even if the shots aren't landing, you know that the judges are going to think that they are. And if you just look at the numbers, I point out this fight all the time. Chris Curtis, Joaquin Buckley. Curtis is very, very fortunate that he was able to land that knockout shot and put out Buckley, because the numbers, even though Curtis is blocking almost, not all the shots, but you know what I mean, blocking a large majority of the shots coming his way from Buckley, if you look at the stats on that fight, it looked like Buckley was just piecing him up, but he wasn't. If you watch it in slow-mo. Like, watch where these punches are landing from Buckley. Yes, some get through, but a lot of them are hitting the arms. They're not hitting him in the face. They're not hitting him in the body. They're hitting the arms. And I understand that's still connecting, but it's a block shot, darn it. So either way, I do think Curtis is going to win this, though. I think he's going to get the knockout on Barriault. I think he's going to be able to counter-strike him, and I think he hits hard enough that he's going to catch Barriault coming in multiple times. He's going to be able to rip the body, and I think he's going to be able to get it done. I do think Curtis gets this one, but like I said, if it goes to decision, it's probably the Barriault side. So I'm taking Chris Curtis as my pick. Let me know who you have in the comments. And do you agree with me about his striking, Curtis's striking defense? And do you agree with me that if this goes to decision, it's going to the Barriault side? I'd love to hear from you, and I'll see you in the next fight. Next, where Mike Malott takes on Neil Magny. Real quick, I just want to highlight the channel members. Thank you guys for being part of the channel. You help keep the lights on, get me the new markers I need to keep writing this stuff up here so you guys can read it. You guys are fantastic. It's $2.99 a month. It's just a pretty small donation, basically, where you get access to some cool emojis and some neato little badges next to your name in the comments. Nothing big, but you're helping keep the lights on for only $2.99 a month. So I do appreciate you guys. Thank you to the channel members. Let's go and break down this fight. Mike Malott, Neil Magny. Malott is 5-0 in his last 5 fights, 2-3 for Magny. But Magny's been at the top of the division for a while now. He's fighting, top-ranked guys. He's not fighting, entry-level opponents, where Mike Malott is. He's new to the UFC. He's beat some kind of, entry-level opponents, some lower down the card. Not a problem. That's not a big issue. But for Mike Malott, now he's taking a big step up, and that's Neil Magny. He's going to be shorter here. He's 5'11" with a 73-inch reach, whereas Neil Magny's 6'3" with an 80-inch wingspan. That is pretty wild. So for Neil Magny, the reach and height advantage is pretty prevalent in most of his fights. And I think here is one that he's going to be able to, maybe use some of that, because Mike Malott's been known to kind of get hit sometimes. He is a very good striker. He's a very, very, good power striker, counter striker, but he often gets hit and then counters back with a strike. And he does have good control over range himself, but that is a huge reach advantage. It's 7 inches in the reach advantage. He's quite a bit taller as Magny, so that changes things quite a bit. And we'll see if that control of range for Malott is going to still be there with this big difference. But like I said, Malott's got good power. He's got good range control typically. He's a good counter striker. He's got a good leg kick as well. His kicks in general, but the leg kick in particular. I do like the striking out of Malott, but he does get hit sometimes. And if you've got a 7-inch disadvantage in the reach, that can be an issue. Now, in the jiu-jitsu, I think he's very good. I think he's very talented. He's got very crafty submissions. And he's quick on them. And what I mean by crafty, he doesn't just have your typical, he's got the guillotine, the rear naked choke, the armbar. He's coming with different stuff, you know what I mean? And he gets it quick. Whatever he applies, it's quick. He's not just, he's not trying to just sit there and like play around and get, step by step. Okay, what do I do next? What do I do here? He's right on him. And he does a good job with it. His takedown defense is also very good. So that helps him to get the fight to the mat on his own terms. For Magny, he's got good striking. Long, rangy straights, uses that range well. He uses the elbows as opponents crash in, He's got that, and then it's here, whatever. Those elbows are also good when he's up against the cage and the cage push, but we're going to cover that more in a second. He's got good striking defense as well, and I think that comes from the range. Like I said, that reach. It's so hard to close distance on somebody with longer wingspan than you by a significant amount. Trust me, I've been there. It's not fun. But he has good striking defense. He's got good striking offense. It's not like... he's not putting together these wild combinations, but it's meat and potatoes style, getting it done with what he needs to get it done. In the wrestling, he does mix in takedowns. If he does get the fight to the mat, he's got good top pressure, and he'll start looking for submissions, but a lot of them are like, get the control, take submissions that you give him type of thing. He's not doing anything wild like Malott maybe, but he's going for those, like, he's going for an arm triangle, or he'll take a rear naked choke if you give it to him, or something like that. He's going for what you give him. And he does a good job pressuring guys with that. Now, the cage push is probably where he does some of his best work. Lands a ton of elbows there, controls guys for minutes, disrupts the fight. And because he's so lanky and long, he's hard to really kind of fight out of there, because as you're trying to create space, he's striking at the range as you push him off, and you're trying to get your back off the cage. So good for Magny there. He's got great cardio. But like I say, he's 2-3 in the last 5. He's getting up there in his career. He's been around a while. He's not super old, but he's been around a while. I mean, you don't get to have, 39 fights? You don't get to have 39 fights and not take some bumps and bruises. So for Magny, we're going to see where he's at this point in his career, and we're going to kind of get a measure of where our prospect Mike Malott is. I lean Mike Malott here. I think he gets it done. I think he's going to have to get... I think he's going to get an earlier finish. Maybe not first round, maybe early second. But I do think he gets a finish in this fight. And I think it's in part because, this is home crowd. He's going to be amped up. And that seems to really fuel this guy. He's done very well. Last time they went to Canada, we saw that. But I do think that his striking's clean enough that he's going to be able to figure out how to get past the range. It might take him a minute, but I think he's going to get it. And I think if he goes to the mat, he's got the jiu-jitsu to back him up there. Magny being a tough test. He's got a lot on his plate right now. I'm just going to lean Mike Malott. It's close. It's a closer fight than maybe the odds suggest, at least on paper. But things don't always play out that way. I'm taking Mike Malott for the pick, but let me know who you have. I'd love to hear from you. So, folks, co-main event of the evening. It's the women's bantamweight title. But if you haven't done so already, please do me a favor and hit the like button on this video. I do appreciate it very much. It goes a long way in helping out the channel. It doesn't cost you anything other than the precious few seconds that you spend scrolling down, clicking like. But if you'd done so when I started talking about it, you'd already be done and back up to the video. So here we go. Like that button. I'm giving you another second here, and then here we go. Myra Bueno Silva takes on Raquel Pennington for the vacant women's bantamweight championship. Now, if you look at the five fights leading up to this one for Bueno Silva, there's a no contest here. That no contest was a win over Holly Holm. Got her in a choke. She was losing until she wasn't. Snatched up what I believe is called a ninja choke, is what I think they called it. Basically what it is, yeah, it's a front choke. It's a ninja choke. Call it what you will. Did a good job. So front choke is the all-encompassing word for chokes here. But yeah, either way. So she got that, but she had Ritalin. So there you go. So for ADHD or whatever. Yeah, it probably helps her out in the fights. It probably helps her quite a bit. But either way, apparently she wasn't supposed to be taking it at that time or something like that. So it's no contest. There it is. It is what it is. She's 3-1-1 in the last 5. That's where we're at. Raquel Pennington is 5-0 in her last 5 fights. And my goodness, that still looks weird to see because usually you think, all right, Raquel Pennington, she's 3-2 in her last 5. For whatever reason you think that. But no, she's changed some things about her game and really, really, really put together a nice, tidy little win streak, beating up people, doing what she needs to do, and a lot of it comes from her dirty boxing. We're going to get into that in a bit. Now, for Myra Bueno Silva, she is definitely the more explosive fighter. She's going to have a lot of finish upside here. She's going to be the type to come forward, throw combinations, land devastating kicks to the legs, to the body particularly. She's going to come forward and do that. When she gets the fight to the mat, probably because she's taken there, because her takedowns are just not there. It's a very weak point for her. She's very active from her back, right? Obviously, she can get a submission against the cage, too. There's that. She's very quick to attack submissions from her back. She's got a good arm bar. But her cardio is going to fade as the fight goes on, and that's a problem for her. Now, Raquel Pennington. She's a good striker, right? It's mostly boxing. She has good boxing. She's going to come forward. She's got good pressure. She's going to work the body. She's going to put combinations together in the pocket, particularly a lot of uppercuts, hooks, things like that. A lot of in-tight shots, moving things, doing what she's got to do. She's got a good step-in knee as well, and I do like that because if Bueno Silva does start to realize that she's getting tired and just wants to cling on, those step-in knees are going to be a great thing for Pennington to use. And she's all durable as heck, so I don't see Bueno Silva getting a knockout. I think she gets a submission if she does get the finish, and I think it's going to come from something in here, right? Armbar, choke, something like that. I think that's what she needs to get the finish. But Raquel's a good wrestler, right? She's got a good cage push. She's got good dirty boxing there, and that's where she's winning fights most of the time in these last 5 fights. She's got good control from there. She's going to separate and strike at the same time. So as she's coming off either an elbow or just a big, hook or whatever it may be, she's going to hit as she's exiting that area against the cage in the cage push. If she's on the mat, she's got good submission defense. Pinky, I know you tried to talk me into Bueno Silva, but I can't do it. Darn it, I'm taking Raquel Pennington. I got to take my girl to get this one done. I'm a big fan of Rocky. I wanted to trust you, and I just can't do it, my friend. We're going Raquel Pennington. I think she gets it done. I think she's going to be the better fighter as the fight goes on. I think she's tough as nails. She's hard to get out of there. I can't remember the last time she's been finished. It's been a while. And I think she's going to get it done. I think she's going to be – it's a 5-round fight, and I don't think Bueno Silva can do this for 5 rounds against Raquel Pennington. That's where I'm at. I'm not mega confident. I'm probably not going to bet on this fight. This is probably one of those fights where you kick your feet up on the coffee table, you crack open an ice cold root beer, you toss that thing back, and you enjoy the show. I think this is going to be a fun fight. I know a lot of people don't think it is. I think it's going to be a pretty fun fight. I think we're going to get a couple of really exciting rounds that have Bueno Silva in the beginning, and I think after that, Pennington's going to take over and start putting a whooping on her. That's where I'm at, but let me know where you are, and I'll see you guys in the main event. It's coming up next. My friends, it is time for the main event of the evening. We have Sean Strickland defending his middleweight championship against Dricus du Plessis. But really quick, guys, Wednesday night, 9:15-ish p.m. Eastern time, it's our panel show. The odd numbers are on my channel. The even numbers are on the Couch Warriors channel. What that is, it's our panel. We do a panel, me and the Couch Warrior. You know this. You've seen it. We've been around for a little bit. Ever since Patty left, it's us. So here's what we've got. It's going to be the odd numbers, meaning UFC 297, my channel, 9:15 p.m. Eastern time, myself and my co-host, the Couch Warrior from the Couch Warrior podcast. We're going to also bring on a couple of extra guests because that's why it's a panel. It's not just two of us talking back and forth. It's a panel of 4 this time. We've done a panel of 5 with UFC 295, and that was a fantastic time. If you missed that, well, you missed out on a great time. We had a great show. Well, we've got a couple of great guests. We have TB from Chronic Combat Conversations. He's going to be jumping over as soon as his live stream's done, so he might be a smidge late. We'll see. But either way, we also have Blood Money MMA bets. We have a great crew. If you are watching this and it's after Wednesday at 9:15 p.m., if it's 9:15 p.m. or around there on Wednesday already, pause this video, come back to it later, go to the live stream right now and jump in the comments, or in the live chat, I mean. But if it is not, if it's after that and you've already missed it, that's okay. Finish this out and go watch the replay. It'll be available. You guys aren't going to want to miss it. It's going to be a fun time. The chat is lively. Anybody that's seeing this beforehand, come with questions to the chat because, my goodness, I'm not going to let you go and just be starved of attention. We're going to pay attention to you guys in the chat. So I need you guys there. It's going to be a good time. Wednesday night, 9:15 p.m. Eastern time. Be there or be square. All right, let's break down this main event. It's a great one. Sean Strickland, Dricus du Plessis. It's another fight where, honestly, I kind of just want to watch this one as a fan. So I don't know that I'm going to pick a side as far as a bet. I'm going to do it for the video. Don't worry. Don't turn it off already. I'm going to do it for the video. But I think this is going to be a fun fight, and I think I'm just going to watch this one as a fan because, my goodness, am I excited for this fight. Dricus du Plessis is 5-0 in his last 5 fights. The dude hasn't lost in the UFC, but he does have a couple of losses outside of the UFC. Very high-level opponents, don't get me wrong, even though it was prior to his UFC run. Now, 3-2 in the last 5 for Sean Strickland. Only one of those really should have been a loss. I think he beat Jared Cannonier. You can fight me on it in the comments. I don't mind. But I think he beat Jared Cannonier. He did lose to Alex Pereira. There's no arguing about that. Dude was asleep. But Sean Strickland, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. 5-0 for du Plessis. Strickland is the champion. Now, here we go. We're going to break this down. Dricus. This guy, he's got solid striking, and it looks better than ever after his last fight. He's got good forward pressure, tons of power, and we know that because he's knocking guys out. He's got good volume, and he strikes in flurries. Now, he's started to get away from what he was doing before, where he would just throw these straight punches and just come forward like that with this weird flurry. And, like, it was like this. Like, he was, like, leaning forward and throwing punches like this. I know, it's weird. It doesn't make any sense, but he was doing it. But now he started to put together clean combinations. He's still doing flurries, but now they're clean combinations. And they look sharper than ever in his last fight. The dude's durable as well. So if he gets hit, he's not just going down. The guy's fantastic. Dricus du Plessis looks better than ever, okay? And I swear, don't mention the nose surgery in the comments. I'm tired of hearing about it. Whatever, dude. Just shut up about his nose. It's fine. Solid grappling from Dricus du Plessis as well. We haven't seen a ton of grappling out of him in the UFC because he's been in a lot more striking matches, but we've seen some. We've seen some, right? And in the grappling, he looks good. He's got good sweeps. He's got excellent front chokes, and he's got very heavy ground and pound. So Dricus is kind of the total package. Yes, his style is a little bit awkward at times, but my goodness, it's working. His pace and that killer instinct that he has gotten him this far, and it's gotten him to a 20-2 record in his entire career and undefeated in the UFC. What, 5 or 6-0, right? 7-0? 6-0. Either way, for Dricus, the dude's good. He's the real deal. I was going to take him over Israel Adesanya. Instead, we've got Sean Strickland there. Sean Strickland goes in. For some reason, although I said, the guy's got a shot and blah, 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 and all this stuff, and then I turn around and pick Israel Adesanya because, like, why wouldn't you, right? Sean Strickland goes out and beats him pretty easily. Made it look like it was no big deal. Sean Strickland's looked like he's on a whole new level. The dude's got solid striking as well with constant forward pressure. The dude just comes forward and does that little thing where he, like, bats shots away and parries them and just throws the jab, throws the 1-2. Whatever he's got to do, he just keeps on doing it. He's going to establish the jab. That's what he's going to do, and he's got great striking defense. The one thing he's susceptible to is a lead hook, and I don't think Dricus is going to hit him with one of those hooks like you see from Pereira, like you see from, goodness, I'm missing it, but he's open to the lead hook, right? That's where it's at. If he's parrying shots out here, he can't defend the hook as well because the hook is coming around the parries. That's why guys that have that guard in here can block the hooks better. And if you're parrying out here, you're blocking a lot more straights. But with the way that Strickland fights and just walks guys down with these jabs and what have you, it's hard for guys to hit those hooks. Guys like Pereira can because he's a freaking monster. So, landed it. There we go. Otherwise, the dude's got great striking defense. And he got knocked out by Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos. That was a spinning heel kick to the head. Similar to a hook, right? I mean, it's what happens. Other than that, you're not knocking Strickland out. It just doesn't happen very often. Maybe he gets knocked out here. Plessis hits very hard, but the defense is typically pretty good. That's what I'm saying. He's going to cut off the cage and just walk you down. And he's got a decent kicking game when he uses it. And it's not like impactful kicks, but he's just using it for what he needs to do. He's putting out that teep kick, that front kick, whatever you want to use, whatever style you want to call it. He's putting those out there as he's walking guys down with the ones and twos. He'll use it to start the train with the straight punches, or he'll use it at the end of some punches as his opponents are backing up. And he's just using it well, checking the kicks as he comes through, just doing what he's got to do. The guy is just constant pressure. The dude's like a slasher movie villain from the 80s, where he just keeps coming forward at that same steady pressure at you, and just, like, he's not super fast, but like if you stop moving, he's probably going to catch you. And if you don't stop moving, you're eventually going to get tired and he's going to catch you. That's what he does. He's a slasher movie villain from the 80s, all right? He doesn't commit very heavy to his strikes until he does, I guess. I mean, obviously he cracked Izzy with one, but typically he doesn't commit heavy to his strikes. He'll throw them just kind of at a comfortable pace for him to keep doing it for 5 rounds. The dude's got endless cardio, and we've seen it in all of his fights. The guy's never tired. His pace is fantastic, and his cardio is fantastic. When it comes to his grappling, the guy's got great takedown defense, and when he does get taken down, he fights the grip and works his way back to his feet. We even saw that with Kamaru Usman, who struggled to hold Sean Strickland down in that matchup in ways that at that time, Usman was not struggling with anybody. So I would say this is a very close fight. I think it's a very good fight, and I think it's a fight where you better just kick your feet up on the coffee table, crack open your ice-cold root beer, and have yourself a good time watching this one. For me, if I have to make a pick, I'm going to take Sean Strickland because he's the champion, and by golly, I think he's going to be able to get this done in the later rounds, like in a 5-round fight. I think he probably wins 4 and 5. 1 through 3 could go either way. I'm gonna say that if you have 2 rounds that I really do feel good about for one guy, and the other 3 rounds I think it could go either way, I'm gonna take the guy that's got those 2 rounds. I do think this fight goes late. I don't think this is gonna end in the first. I'm gonna take Sean Strickland to win it, maybe by decision or somebody get. I don't see it ending in the first. I think both guys are too durable and too tough, and I don't see like a big left hook from a monster. So I'm going to have to say Strickland. I'm going to say by decision maybe, but I don't need to say. I don't know. I'm picking Strickland. I don't know the method yet. We haven't gotten that far, but Strickland's a pick. It's not the most confident pick on the card. This is a tough fight, and both of these guys are absolute animals, and this is a very fun title fight. I love this fight. Guys, if you haven't done it already, like the stinking video, and I'll see you guys at the live stream, and if you've already missed the live stream, you're watching this one late, shame on you, but that's okay. Go back, watch the live stream right after this. That 297 panel is going to be fantastic. We've got great guests. Everybody on there is an absolutely lovely human being, and you're going to want to go subscribe to their channels as well. I've rambled too much. See you guys next time. I appreciate you. I'll be on all sorts of stuff this week, so see you there.